Thank you guys for tuning in. Before we start today's episode, I think we would be disingenuous if we didn't talk about the current situations that are going on. Firstly, we're in a pandemic, so please continue to stay safe, socially distance. That means physical separation, so don't try and come near other people and stuff. And of course, continue safe practices, washing your hands, wearing masks, which prevents the spread. It doesn't necessarily mean that you won't get it, but it'll at least prevent other people from getting it. So, for the common good, please continue to do that. And then I don't know how to introduce the topic because it's so sad, but I mean, recently in the US at least, we've had a few deaths of unarmed black men. Not charged with anything, not criminals, just civilians. And I think we've seen instances of abuses of power by both citizens of the U.S., where Ahmaud Arbery, and they, shot him down. And then also the Minnesota policeman they stepped on and kneed the man, George Floyd, until he said, "I can't breathe, please don't kill me," and literally died in front of our faces. So,
not to mention the woman in Central Park in New York,
right? Amy Cooper, that's her name.
Yes, Amy Cooper, who had threatened the black man who was bird watching with his own race. She called the cops saying there was an African American man attacking her. I really, as a person of color, but really more as just an American citizen, I really do encourage, people of both color and non-color to please educate yourselves and truly don't understand that there is an issue,
right?
Because this is not something that is going away. We thought that it might have been isolated instances, but I don't think we can call this isolated anymore.
Can't ignore the problem.
We can't ignore the problem anymore, and it's something that is hard to talk about. But I encourage people to talk about it. Get a friend who's a minority. Get a friend who's not a minority, and just have a conversation. I encourage people to find some sort of common ground and understand that we're all Americans, but there's a huge distinction. Me being a black man, walking down the street in a hoodie, or walking behind a woman, or if I had
jogging at this point, just jogging.
If I had an open carry license and carrying a weapon around me, understand that there's a very big difference between that vision and the vision of if I was a white man doing that.
Right.
I'm not trying to target, anyone in particular, any group in particular. I know there are fantastic policemen out there, and I know there are fantastic people of non-color. Yes. I've met them. I'm friends with them, a lot of them. And that's not what I'm trying to say, but I want to acknowledge that there is a problem, right, and we need to address it.
And I think the main way we can do it, to paraphrase Benjamin Franklin, he said that when the unaffected are equally as outraged as the affected parties, then there will be effective change. So I think that to show solidarity to your friends who are going through this, I mean, this is traumatic. To ignore that there's no long-term psychological effects of these type of things is disingenuous. It's also it's just false, because we watched a man die. We've seen these videos now, because now that there's video everywhere, we're seeing this. And before we knew it happened. But now that we see it, there's no going back. These images, these videos are they're imprinted in our memories forever. And I think that when we're talking about things like this, I mean, celebrities have spoken up about it. Natalie Portman speaks up about it all the time. People like that. The John Boyega recently went on a huge rant, and he got backlash for it. But I think it also showed that he's a black man. He's from London. They don't joke around there. Like, they know. Like, you think that in the US you have to be politically correct. Like, the UK, they are not. They tell you what's going on. So it's like, when they're talking about how can you say that? He's from London. Like, you don't realize the racism until you've been into London, right? Like, colonize the world. So he understands this on a much, much deeper level. And I think we also go through it And now we're seeing the effects of it. It's life or death now. It's not, you are okay with a man dying or you're not. There's a black and white in this. I think to say that there's nuance is lost because it should never get to the point of a man losing his life, a woman losing her life. I think that's where we need to reevaluate ourselves as a society, and I think that starts out with speaking out. The people who would make the most effective change are us, the youth, and I think that it starts with us actually speaking out. And if you're afraid to speak out, you're equally, I understand the backlash, the fear of backlash, but you're equally as culpable. Because if you see injustice and you do nothing about it, you're giving power to the injustice.
We're all nerds here. We're all human here. We're all people. Love each other. Love your neighbor. And let's all try and make a difference. Right. We're putting out there, trying to acknowledge that enough is enough.
Yeah.
And I challenge everyone to do the same.
Right. And
because
I think if we're talking about even our fandoms, to bring it back to what we're all here for, our fandoms are talking about things, unity. The Jedi Order is about compassion. You look at Dragon Ball Z, different species are together, all collectively. You look at even other fandoms. I mean, Harry Potter, you're looking at various groups of people coming together for something bigger than race, religion, ethnicity, skin tone, species. They're coming together for something much grander. I mean, all our fandoms, Star Trek even, I mean, that is the most diverse fandom I can think of, is that you're literally going interspecies, interplanetary, right? And you're still seeing the connections. I think we all share, I think what is lost in today's society, because we all want to be highlighted and feel special, is that we actually share a whole lot more in common than we think. So just keep this message in mind, because I think we don't want to put a damper on the episode, but we need to talk about it because we're two people of color, and it's just saddening. But I think if we hold on to that hope, that make connections with people and see the humanity in them, we'll live for a better tomorrow. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
All right, so today on the Beskar Briefing, we are going to be discussing Avatar, The Last Airbender. We're going to be going over what the most powerful type of bending is, or at least what we think it is, what animal companion we would prefer, as well as where we would want to live in the Avatar universe. All this and more on the Beskar Briefing. This is the way.
This is the way. Okay.
All right, so Briefing. I'm Bradley Ford.
I'm Vishnu Prasad Rao. And let's just jump into our first topic of the day, which is the most powerful element to bend.
What's the matter? Cat got your tongue?
Now we have 4. We're sticking to the 4, but we'll also talk about what each of those 4 have to offer, and we'll choose our personal preferences. We have water, air, earth, and fire. Those are the 4 in the Avatar realm. Okay. I know that maybe other people will consider metal bending its own thing, but we're putting that underneath earth bending. Does it make sense? Like all these things,
over like subcategories.
Right, lightning bending goes under like fire and like other things. Yeah,
sand. I think sand's goes kind of in between earth and air, but we'll talk about it. So yeah, let's just jump right into it.
Why don't you go first? And I'll see what you want to think, man.
Sure, definitely. So my personal opinion, and this is one I've thought of long and hard about, and I'm sure a lot of people agree, although, there are some that probably wouldn't, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm air.
Air? Okay.
Yeah. I really think air provides some of the most versatility because it has a good amount of, offense, defense,
right.
Has a lot of good mobility. I mean, you can use...
With the evasion tactics that Aang uses, you get to see that a lot, so...
You can, and also just Aang has his air scooter that can help him needs to.
By the way, I want to ride that scooter. I really do.
Dude, that looks so much fun.
But I think that I would crash like multiple times. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
Bending skills are great. He has a lot to learn before he's ready to save anyone.
It looks hard to control.
Just smack right into a statue or something.
I think
like that.
the intro. I think that's me, 100%.
And it's bad because like I can't even really skateboard or skate very well.
Yeah,
so,
like I can skateboard a little, so I think I'd be okay. But then like, there's like, I don't know, it's a ball, right? So where's the balance you're gonna get, right? Like, what if you get swept up? You know?
That's why they train for years.
I guess, yeah.
Oh my god, stop it!
But yeah, so I think air is definitely, and also because air. You could feasibly, and this is kind of, I'm going to be cheesing it a little bit, right? You could kind of feasibly bend the other elements by using air.
Yeah, because you're pushing the other elements, right?
Yeah, I can push an element. I can push water. I can move fire if I wanted to, or blow out the fire.
Mm-hmm.
I can cut through like whatever earth bolt that you're throwing at me with air, or at least put it back. So for those reasons, like I personally think air. And also it's cool to me.
It's cool, man. It's cool.
I mean, I love firebending. I think firebending is one of the most cool looking.
Right.
But
because I think also based on these all four of these elements, just to talk about how they look, were based on different martial arts. Obviously, they blended it a little bit with the movements, but like think that firebending is based off of the kung fu and stuff like that. So the movements are more martial artists, more aggressive. Right, so that they're cutting through, they're punching, right? So it's much more aggressive than the others. Earth is much more strong, right? So like that might be considered aggressive too.
You're a nincompoop.
But like you said, air and water, I guess, are the most fluid. So those don't look as cool in a sense sometimes.
But flashy.
You're right.
At least in the movements, like they don't require as much. I think
it's more Tai Chi than it is. It's more body control than it is
definitely
attack.
More water than air. Water does, like if you kind of watch some of them, they do kind of have the actual martial art aspect to it.
Yeah.
Air really doesn't. Air has a lot more of just like one using weapons because typically has his staff or
something. Yeah.
But also it's a lot more of just like blowing and
yeah, blow me.
Just kind of doing whatever movement works for the situation.
Right. So mine, I've written it down because I have notes.
What a dweeb.
So, because I've thought long and hard about this too. I think, like, my personality would probably push me more towards air or fire, depending on which one. I think I'm kind of both. Like, if I'm the fire, I'd be more like Uncle Iroh fire, not like Azula fire. Like, I'm not angry, but but I'm picking actually, and I don't. The reason why I picked this, I have a lot of things, but I don't know if people actually give it credit because, like people say, it's not as flashy. Is water bending.
Water.
Okay, yeah. We can go into.
I'm picking water bending because it's liquid, so it moves around. If you ever heard the Bruce Lee quote, "Be water, my friend," like water.
Be water, my friend.
It goes into a cup, it becomes the cup. It goes into a teapot, it becomes the teapot.
Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot.
Right? Its adaptability is incredible because it becomes whatever, right? Like you can encapsulate a person. Like, you could do that with earth, but like rocks are more difficult to make a mold out of than the water. And then another reason was multiple phases. So you got liquid, you've got solid, right? So like air is just air, right? It's in its gaseous state.
Yeah.
We're getting it all physics-wise.
I hate physics. Physics be damned!
Right? So then we're talking about water has multiple things, right? Like you were talking about multiple, and if you can, in a sense, you can use a smoke, like a steam screen, if you can get it hot enough. So then you've got 3 phases. And I think that is a huge advantage because when you're wanting to be aggressive, you can use ice, right? You can use like icicles, throw those. You can use like ice shears or even water to cut through. But then if you need to be more defensive, you can use water again and then, kind of steam it if you need to. Yeah. I think we saw a few times when the water does become to steam and Katara uses it to like get away. You know.
Mm-hmm. You also see it in, like with Master Paku, where he very regularly changes the state of water from like steam, ice to water.
Right, and see that I think that really showed the versatility of water. Another thing is, and this is more the defensive side, healing.
Oh my god! Wow!
Because water has that healing ability. They're healers. Like I think Katara learns that, right? The ability to heal. And I think that is just OP. Because if you can just heal somebody, man, that's you're talking about next level, right? Like in terms of power, because you're healing. Because fire, the one thing is you can hurt, but you can't ever take back. Because look at Zuko's eye. You can't take it back, right? Whereas water is like you can take it back at least or something like that, right? Like if you injure someone, you also have the ability to reconsider it, in a sense. Then another thing, which I think is OP, and still, I don't know if you remember this episode, but bloodbending. That is one of the scariest episodes to date. I still can't watch it completely. It's like a horror movie. That whole episode is like a horror movie. You can control people if you wanted to, or animals or anything. If you're bloodbending, right? That lady like basically controls the whole village. So bloodbending, and I know Katara vows never to use it again. But if you need to use it, like let's say if you're talking about if you can water, I mean shoot, talking about bloodbending, man, you're controlling people.
Hard to beat. It is hard to beat.
Right. So those are my reasonings for waterbending. But like I said, everyone has this advantage and disadvantage. I'm picking water because the versatility, one, just to sum up, versatility among phases. Two, I'll also say the abundance of water. I feel like water is quite abundant, right? Like Earth, if you're in the air, like when Toph is in the air, she gets scared and uneasy because she's not on
solid ground.
Whereas water is like you can get it from the moisture in the air, right? If you need to. 2 or 3, because I said versatility, abundance. 3, bloodbending, OP. And 4, healing. So you have the aggressive side of it, which is bloodbending, and the defensive side of it, the healing. So that's my 4-pronged argument.
I think one of my reasons why I didn't choose water, because all those are very valid points. One of my biggest reasons is that like air doesn't require a source.
Right, that's another thing.
A significant amount of water in the world and in people. We see Katara sweat. And then she uses the sweat to be able to like get her out of prison. So like it's definitely, possible to get water where, there isn't water. But that being said, there's significantly more air.
Right. No, so that's why I gave abundance wise, air is the most abundant. We'll give you that because it's all around us. You're not without air unless you're in space, which they're not. So
you also don't need to move nearly as much with air.
Right.
With air, you can literally just blow and airbend.
Yeah.
Whereas with other ones, other than fire, you really can't.
Right. So the two you have to like the water and earth you have to bring with you or bring to you. Whereas fire and air is like you can just, like you said, boom, like instantaneous. And
you want to make honorable mentions to both water and fire.
Right.
Because water and fire both have advantages that the other two bendings don't, which is that they have periods of time where those bending powers are enhanced.
Yeah.
With water, it's when the moon is full.
Full moon.
The moon.
When we have fire, summer, and
comet.
Really sun freaking rises.
Yeah.
They are empowered by
nature and cycles. So yeah, they have times when they're just more powerful than the rest. Which again, it depends on whether you consider it like does the peak matter as much to you? Like the peak of their abilities, or is it the consistency?
Right.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Because Earth, I think, is the most consistent, other than air. Because Earth also has a lot of the other things. Is that because we already picked our sides, and obviously fire is very aggressive and powerful and all-consuming, and it can turn into lightning, which is the fastest out of all of them, right? So it's going to be difficult to stop if someone shoots lightning at you. It's too fast unless you know how to deflect or return it. But Earth has metal bending, sand bending, right? And you can use any material. Whereas air also you can, but it's not as aggressive as Earth, right?
Yeah, I think we can also agree. I'm pretty sure air has the least amount of variance.
Yeah, which is what I'm saying is that you can cut through something, but only if you are really trying to, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Earth, it's like you can smack someone if you need to.
You have fire. You've got like the dragon fire type deal.
Right.
You've got the fire. You've got lightning.
Right.
And Earth, you've got sand, metal.
You can make shards of something if you wanted to. Rocks, boulders.
The boulder's gonna win this in a landslide.
Benders, or at least like the. And then with water, you have the different states. So you have steam as well as water. But yeah, air is pretty consistently the one that just doesn't really have a variation.
Right, the variance is low in air. But again, because there's abundant, it might balance it out.
Need it.
Yeah. So I don't know if we might just have to agree to disagree, because it is kind of like there's advantage and disadvantage. I don't know if one's actually better than another, but I think that we can agree that all of them have their advantages for sure.
Right.
And but yeah,
You definitely have their advantages.
Yeah.
I also think Earth is the most underrepresented.
Yeah.
So maybe there are some things that like we don't even know that Earthbenders can do.
Right.
But that being said, I'm still pretty solid in my thing. I think you're pretty solid.
We'll just have to agree to disagree on this one. We'll move on to the next one.
Move along.
Which is animal companions.
Animals.
Now this one I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty sure that that no one can sway me.
No, there's not. This is a personal preference choice, so it's not really a. But we'll say why we think that they're better, because I went long and hard. And there's while there are cool ones, right? And while there are ones that have their advantages, you also have to think about long term, stuff like that. What do you want?
Bro,
right?
dragon. Easy.
Okay. Yeah, and initially I was about to pick dragon too. And I still think that those dragons, I mean, they're some of the coolest looking dragons we have in probably all of animation.
Yeah.
Like Shenron, and then these dragons are like right there in terms of animation.
They're so cool. I think they have some of the most offensive capability, just with their bodies and with their breath. And then they're also, and then having a flying companion, I think, is incredibly useful.
Yeah.
I mean, that's literally how the plot of Last Airbender was really driven, was the fact that they could fly, and go to different places. But obviously, Appa doesn't have freaking fire breath, so I'm sorry, but I got to go against my boy Appa. And also, dragons live for a long time.
Yeah, dragons do live significantly long time. I don't know if they live longer. They probably do live longer than flying bisons, but because I remember, I think it was somewhere like they live like those two that the original firebenders have been living for like thousands of years. So they only die if you like kill it. So I think that's really how they die.
Yeah, that's why that 100% for me. It's there's no question about it.
And then they're so loyal, right? Because I think Zuko has his from like whenever, right?
Yeah.
So they're very loyal. And
although I don't think we ever see him acquire the dragon. I just know we see him have it in Legend of Korra.
Yeah, which is what I'm saying is like I think we're supposed to assume, maybe they mentioned it in passing, that it's one of those dragons, the red one, from when he was relearned firebending, one of those originals. Yeah. So if it remembers him from then and then stayed with him through life, I think we can safe to assume that it's loyal. Loyalty. And then even Avatar Roku had a dragon, right? And we saw how loyal that dragon was. So yeah, for sure, they're very loyal. Yeah, mine. Wild dragons are cool. Okay. No one's disputing that. I think if we're going on cool factor, dragons win. I don't know what other animals out there. Korra has that weird dog thing.
Which is polar bear dog?
Yeah, polar dog. And a lot of these animals are fusions anyway. And And I was thinking long hard, and I was like, do I want Momo? Because I thought that I was thinking Momo because he gets him out in a pick. He's able to like sneak in and do things, and he has opposable hand, like thumbs and hands.
He's like the I'm gonna use a D&D term on you. Yeah. He's like the of Avatar, where like he Bard.
The Bard. Oh yeah.
There's a class called the Bard. It's like a performer, and it's hailed as being. It's kind of weird because a lot of people see it as useless, but if you know how to play them right, they're the best utilitarian class.
Right. And it's almost like having a pet like who can do things for you, like an R2D2. It's like an R2D2. You know, if you're trying to like compare it to something small, it's like because all the others that everyone has companion wise are huge, right? And so you can't take them everywhere. Is what my thing was. But even though there's so many advantages of Momo, which I won't go into, I'm picking Appa.
This is Appa, my flying bison.
Okay.
And I thought about it because I was like, I was really trying to find advantages for the dragon because I wanted it, but then I was like, I can't because there's too many advantages with Appa. One, transportation, right?
Yes.
The dragon can transport, but I don't think you're fitting as many people on the dragon as you can on Appa. So,
I'll give you that.
You know, it's like elephant versus horse.
Right.
You're gonna fit more on the elephant. Then 2, companionship. The dragon, you gotta feed like, carnivore things. You gotta go hunt. You gotta let it go hunt. Appa, you just let it go find a meadow. You're straight.
To graze my lawn.
Yeah, he's just grazing.
Yeah, he's just grazing. I don't need to worry about him too much. He'll eat when he wants to eat. It's fine.
Yep. Now he has to eat a lot. He's got 5 stomachs.
Yes, but low maintenance. You know what I mean? Relatively low maintenance for the animal. So long term, that's what I'm thinking about. If you recall, like a few episodes, I picked C-3PO for low maintenance too because I don't have to worry about him dying. Again, you can see I'm consistent at least.
Yeah.
And then probably the biggest advantage for Appa, which I've written down, housing.
So we're talking free housing.
He's a house. He's a mobile house. You don't have to worry about finding a place. Oh, it's too cold. Oh, it's too hot. Guess what? You got Appa. You got a house. What do you want? Right? You got a house. You didn't think about the housing factor. They live in Appa for like all of season 1.
They really do.
Book 1. And then even like throughout the rest of the series, they're like living with him. You know? So housing is huge for me.
That is true. That is very true. But Appa does. He provides warmth. He provides a soft place to sleep, like he does. Yeah, that is a good point. Now, I will say, having a dragon is pretty good too because 1, a dragon can build a fire pretty easily.
Right, that's true.
You never
that's true.
And
helps with the fire starter. He's a fire starter.
I start fires.
So there's some pros and cons. I'm not gonna.
Yeah. No. I didn't really think about the fire starter. That is a great idea. But I was just thinking in terms of like an actual house. You could literally just be like, "Hey, Appa, put your armor on. You're straight. You're done."
Right. You're good.
You don't have to like build something. It's too much. I mean, maybe with the dragon too, because I think again back to Avatar Roku's dragon. He's like wraps around him, towards like a few times. So you could but not as many as Appa. That's what I'm saying. It's like Appa's this wide.
You can't have Appa's great for like a party of people,
right? It's like one person with the dragon versus a party with Appa. So those are my main things. With a bison, low maintenance, also generally docile, so I don't have to worry about the dragon being jealous or something. I don't know if they do, but I can assume that they maybe do get jealous with other animals. Because I remember Appa doesn't get jealous about Momo. He just lets him on, right, or something. Momo gets jealous about Appa or something.
Momo and Appa have an interesting relationship in some cases. Like there are some times where, they do butt heads, but it's not really more than just like a little brother type of deal.
So I think, that's why I'm like, Appa's generally docile. So I gave that also. But yeah, that's mine. Yeah, so companionship, transport. I think we both picked one that's, flying, transport.
Yeah.
Appa can also swim, so that's another.
Happy birthday, Raven! I can swim.
Yeah.
Appa can also swim.
So he's a boat just as much as he is a flying machine.
Right.
and we don't really know if dragons can swim, but
I assume not, because they'd be pretty pissed off that they're in the water. So.
But they'd also be able to dry off easier. You know,
they just heat up. They're a giant heating blanket. I don't know. It's difficult to tell, but yeah, that's what I was. Yeah, but I think these are good choices, both of them, obviously, because again, I was about to pick dragon, then I was like, oh, do I want Momo? Because the reason why I was trying to get away from a big animal was that I can't take him or her everywhere. Yeah, Momo Momo is with them throughout the series, right? But Appa gets like not just taken once, but also he has to be left somewhere. He's not part of the action. You know?
Yeah, sorry, something just fell in my house.
Oh, it must be your airbending coming back, man. It must be airbending coming back. Yeah, just a little. Yeah, if you could airbend, I do think the airbending is most useful out of all of them.
Oh yeah.
If in the real world, if we're trying to go back to that, but yeah. Anyway,
I could, and that'd be the closest thing I get to the Force.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's basically the Force. So I think it's useful in the real world. Yeah. I don't know why I put quotes around the real world. I don't know. The world. I guess if we're considering like our world, the real world.
The world is just perception. It's
the Matrix.
Right now, we're inside a computer program.
You know.
Okay, so final question.
Final question. The category is hydromagnetic magnetoidal dimensions,
which I think is a fun question because it kind of shows where you'd want to live in the real world anyway.
Right.
Is where do you want to live in the Avatar universe? And you can. We're picking the 4 nations: the Earth Kingdom, the Air Temples, the Water Tribes, and the Fire Nation. Plus, also Legend of Korra's United Republic of Nations, which is like Republic City.
I think we also mentioned the Spirit World as well.
Spirit World, that's the other one. So yes.
The Spirit World.
Yes, thank you.
So, for this one, I thought about it a little bit, right? Because I wanted to kind of get a little bit of an idea of like why would I want to be in the Spirit World versus any of the other mortal worlds, and then if I chose a mortal world, which one would I choose?
Right.
So, my decision.
Oh yeah.
My decision is actually the Fire Nation.
You good there?
Yeah, we're getting shutters installed.
Oh. Okay.
So yeah, my decision is actually the Fire Nation.
Flame you, Hotman!
And the reason why is because you kind of have, it's different from it has a similar civilization aspect to the Earth Kingdom, where there's like a big community type deal.
Right.
Some areas where they have a lot of culture and festival.
I do it for the culture.
And like produce and things like that, and I value things like that.
Right.
Also, is of the 4 nations, in my personal opinion, the most technologically advanced. They have
other than the United Republic of Nations, which is in Korra.
Right. Which gets a little because it's so far ahead. It's like somewhere in the ballpark of like 50 years ahead of,
I think 50 or 60, something like that.
Yeah, ahead of the Last Airbender setting. But yeah, so that definitely, I like the Fire Nation. I also just kind of like the color scheme.
Wow, look at all the colors, man!
The red and brown and black is really dope.
It's good colors, yeah, for sure. Their clothes are the best. Their fits.
And they're a lot of their like trademark foods. I think Fire Flakes is one of the things.
Fire Flakes, that looks so cool.
I would love to try that. Other than the fact that they kind of try to enslave the whole nation,
that's the drawback,
That's the drawback. If for whatever reason they weren't trying to do that, hey,
drawback, slavery.
Slavery, very bad thing.
Imperialism, drawbacks.
Yeah, so there are definitely drawbacks. But there were also people who, there were good people who lived in the Fire Nation, and there were. There were.
We're not blaming the whole nation because of that, because it really wasn't their fault. It was Ozai and Sozin and all them, so we'll blame them.
So definitely, aside from the imperialistic aspect, I'd probably choose the Fire Nation. For the, and also just because if I had to choose, I'd probably be a firebender because an airbender, growing up as an airbender, you're an
monk.
I'm just a simple monk.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd appreciate that lifestyle.
Yeah, it's a little restrictive.
Long term.
Okay. I get it. I get everything you're saying. And here's what I'm gonna say. I agree with you, for all the reasons you just said. And I'm picking the Fire Nation too, but I'll add a few more.
Hotman.
Okay.
Ironically, the Fire Nation is really peaceful.
What was that?
Yeah, it is. There is a very peaceful aspect to it.
The last book. So first book is like water tribes and all that, right? And like, you know, some few places along the way. And then the second book is like Earth Kingdom. Third book is Fire Nation, right? I think. Mm-hmm. And if you're comparing those three, I think the Fire Nation has the, like you said, the most peaceful. Obviously they are, because they're in the position of power at the time. But also, I liked what you said. There's a lot of culture. I think that has to be a big plus when you're choosing on where to live. So if you're talking about, like, United Republic of Nations has culture too. I don't know if people realize that, but it's like a modern culture. And
yeah,
I think
modern day, where it's an amalgamation of different types.
Right,
of culture.
and I know I love that, but I think that me being, from, like, you know, an Eastern culture, I like that aspect of having that Eastern type of vibe of culture. You know, like festivals, stuff like that. You don't really get that in the United Republic of Nations. It's more like sports and stuff like that, right?
Sports.
The bending game things, right? And so Fire Nation culture is huge, I think. Two, like you said, the color scheme, everything, it's just beautiful to look at. The buildings, I think, are the most beautiful in the Fire Nation. Like architecture wise, I think that the housing, everything is really cool. Especially if you remember that like beach house that the Azula and Zuko and all those go to. It's beautiful, right? So you can also blend in earth, water, fire, like type of vibes in together there. And I think the Earth Kingdom is just so big, right? That is a little tiring. You know, the Fire Nation is relatively,
We'll take a 5-minute recess.
Alrighty, so we were talking about.
Hold on, there's a bit of a lag with the. Oh crap! Damn. You were like fast forwarding in time.
Oof.
You're like, so there's been a lag of when you were talking and stuff. So hold on, just a sec. This is the funniest thing. You're like horizontal and you're just speeding through your room. I don't know how else to describe it. I'll send you this clip.
I entered the Speed Force, man. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm gonna add this in because I don't know.
My superpowers have finally manifested.
I don't know what to do with this. I'm gonna add it in though. Oh my
Somehow.
God! You just got up your chair. You got in. Like it's like. Oh my God! Yeah, this is literally like watching like a Looney Tunes clip.
Bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, bing, bing. You know what that is, right?
Put some nice sound effects at the end of it. Man, that's good. Funny as hell.
Okay, when are you gonna catch up? Okay, don't say anything for like 5 seconds. Hey, Bradley.
Lord Vader, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh my God, you caught up. No, I'm not kidding. Your voice was like far into the future, and your body was left behind. I didn't know what was going on for a while. I was just kind of, if you when we watch this back, I'm sure you're gonna see my face, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do.
I'm losing my mind.
Oh, what's going on?
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. So we'll go. Let's jump back in. So you said Fire Nation. I said Fire Nation.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was talking about culture and stuff, clothes, architecture. So I was on architecture and I was moving into clothes. The clothes in the Fire Nation are cool.
They're hot.
Zuko's outfits are the best. Even Aang, like everyone, when they get their outfits from the Fire Nation, I think I like those clothes more than any of the other clothes.
Oh,
actually,
yeah, definitely.
Actually, I'll say this: the air people have some cool clothes too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the air they have cool clothes, but again, it's all very monkish.
Yeah.
So it's not very glitzy and glam, but like you see the gold piping on the Fire Nation people, it's pretty cool.
And like the same thing goes for their navy and their military. Their uniforms look awesome.
Mm-hmm. So if I want to dress up every day, I'd like to dress up there.
Yeah, definitely.
What else was I gonna say? There was one more thing.
Sure. Take your time.
I think it's kind of hard to justify the spirit world.
It is, but like people, I know people who would pick it because they would just much rather be. I think the spirit world is much more if you're very in tune with nature. You can consider it the natural world. So if you're the type of person who wants to go,
Iroh is probably in heaven in the spirit world.
Yeah,
like sounds weird to say.
Right, Iroh was like living his best life. He had like a tea shop, feeding spirits.
Yeah, man, he's
serving
having
spirits jasmine tea. So yeah, I think I would like to set up a jasmine tea shop. No lie, like that's probably a dream job.
He also loves ginseng though, and I don't know if you ever had tea, but it's disgusting.
It is.
That's just nasty.
It is. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of these teas that these people drink are actually pretty bad. So I don't know. Like I only like the fruity teas because they're kind of like juice.
Me too. I mean, I can have jasmine when it's like because jasmine. If you have a blend of like jasmine and oolong, you can have like a nice vanilla-y taste to it.
Right. Sometimes, but most of the time these teas are quite bitter. If you especially these teas because they don't add milk or cream. It's not like it's not the British tea. It's the Eastern tea, which is watery, right? So
good for you.
Apparently, yeah. So
ginseng has like so many.
It has a lot of properties. It has like long-term properties. So
and then oolong is like one of the most restorative teas possibly.
I think ginseng's good for memory as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, you are correct.
Yeah.
It is.
So that's what I remember about it.
Ironic.
Which is ironic because we're talking about memory. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, if I'm trying to justify why people are going to the spirit world, because I think that's the hardest pill for people to swallow. It's like, why would you go to the spirit world? Is if you are very much in tune with nature. So you can consider it like the natural world. Because in Legend of Korra, you do see those like spirit vines and stuff, right? And then they go into the spirit world. It's very like nature-y, and forests and stuff like that. So if you're the type of person who wants to like settle down on the countryside, I think the spirit world is where you would want to be, right?
Nature.
Yeah, man. If you're tuned in nature, you have that spiritual aspect of it. That's probably where you're going to start.
Yeah, so I don't know if people are I think there's still some people out there who'd want to go. Again, not a lot, because the point is that there's not a lot of people in the spirit world. So that is kind of the point, right? So
I know a lot of people who are very into like the natural like, crystal healings and stuff like that. They love it.
Yeah.
Love.
And then I think the United Republic of Nations would be cool. Except that it's a little too busy for me.
Well, have you got somewhere to be?
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's a little more metropolitan than pretty much everything.
And I like the city life, but I don't know if I'd be personally I'm more city boy than country boy for picking two. But I don't know if I'd be able to there's a lot going on there, you know?
There is.
There's too much scandal. It's like the 1920s.
Also, in my personal opinion, I've always told myself that I've been I was born in the wrong time period because I do enjoy the more traditional living style, and so that's kind of why I lean more towards the Fire Nation because it's more modernized than all the other nations. Right, still is steeped in tradition and has
it's more like Japan. Like if we're considering like a country in modern times, which is why I like Japan so much. But because it's like the perfect blend of like modern and culture, you know. But it's not too modern. It's not too, and I think the Earth Kingdom would be cool. Not gonna lie. Because when you see some of those episodes, it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
But I also think, again, it's so big. You know, I don't know if I want to be living in a country that big.
That one, the Earth Kingdom is quite large.
And so because there's so much, it's just that there's so much, just too different. You know, like one part of the Earth Kingdom is definitely not like the others. You know, and another reason why I picked it is because it is a kingdom, which is one of the setbacks that drew me away from the Fire Nation, right? But later, the Fire Nation is more like a constitutional democracy or monarchy, like constitutional monarchy, right? Because the Fire Lord, like Zuko, is more like a figurehead, and then there's like other people there, right?
It's very interesting to see like the disparities between like King Boomy's nation versus Hey.
See, that's what I was saying is like there's not a unit, even though there's the Earth Kingdom, there's not really unity there. So that's why I was kind of scared. It's like the lack of political leadership in a sense would kind of steer me away, because I'm like, I don't know if I can keep up with like who's in charge today. You know, I don't want to play that game.
No games, all right?
Oh, this guy took over with a coup? Like, okay, cool. Like, I know, like,
where are my cabbages?
Yeah, where are my cabbage man? Where'd he go? Oh, he just destroyed in this city? He's gone? Well, I'm not gonna get any more cabbage. Like, I can't deal with that. It's too much headache.
What kind of slum do you think this is? Oh, my cabbages!
And then
I love the meme where it's like
my
the cabbages finding the avatar than Zuko did.
Yeah. Actually, I have a T-shirt that says "My Cabbages." I was gonna wear it, but I wore this one instead, which has the team avatar. But yeah, that I think that is one of the all-time best like memes before memes. Does that like?
Oh yeah.
Those tropes that keep coming into that repeated joke of Avatar: The Last Airbender was perfect.
And I love that they brought it back in Korra.
Yeah. And I love that in Korra he's basically broken. Like, he just starts crying. He doesn't even say... He's just done. And just cries. You know, like in the others, he's, like, crying, but he's, like, out of, like, anger and angst and stuff. But in this one, he just broke it.
He just gives up.
Just broke it. Yeah. I think you see the progression, too. Like, the first time, he's just angry. And then by the end of the series, he's, like, upset, like, crying. And then in Korra, he's broken, right? Like, he's actually, like, just sad. Depression, full depression. So yeah, I think that's great. And then I will say, so if we're talking about, since we talked about the others, let's go finish the rest.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, the air nomads. It's fun. It seems fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
they have a good time.
And they have a good time. I think it's more jovial than the rest, which is...
And it's definitely one of the most interesting places. Yeah. Like, you see the Northern Air Temple where Aang grew... Right. I think that's where...
He grew up in the southern.
Oh, he grew up in Southern. And then the one where they camp out with Zuko and Toph and everything like that, where, like, basically everything's, like, upside down.
Right, I think that's the northern one.
Really cool. Like, it's in a mountain. Like, it's super cool. But
it is a monk. It's a monastery, right?
Yeah, it's a monastery.
They can have kids, which is what I was like.
And they can also have friends. Like, they also have lives outside the nation too, because like Aang talked about having a friend who was from the Fire Nation.
Right.
He always visited Boomy in his kingdom.
Exactly. He visited Boomy, so it's like I don't know if that's because he was the Avatar and he has had more freedom and laxed. But like later in Korra, we get to see like Tenzin has his kids and his family and all that. We're basically all airbenders. And then, so, like, I don't know if it's as restrictive as we think, but again, it is a monastery, and I don't want those tattoos on my forehead, bro. That's all I'm gonna say. I think that's the...
Ain't gonna be bald, bro.
Yeah,
sorry.
I don't want to be bald like that. And then, so
and
that's... The water tribes. Okay, the northern water tribe. Awesome, dope, cool. Yeah. Sounds cool, right?
It's great.
It's great.
Cold, but
a little cold. That's why I'm not picking it. It's a little too cold for me. And then you have the southern water tribe, which is what is it?
Butt cheek. It's so bad.
It's cheeks. What is it?
Trash. Like yes.
It was Sokka who built the wall. That was it.
And the wall was snow. Like, it wasn't anything.
Yeah, it wasn't even ice. Like, it wasn't like a structure that you can... No, it was what, like, if we had a snow day, that's what we built. Like, Squidward from SpongeBob built a better snow fort than Sokka.
Fort Squidward is now all but impenetrable!
Bro, I'm sorry, but the Southern Water Tribe, no one should ever live there.
No!
Everyone should just immigrate to the north.
I don't know what
there are like, what, 50 people in the south?
Yeah, like, what is happening there? And I think they explained it. They're like, oh, all the men left, and so, like, now we're left with, like, to fend for ourselves for a little while. But it's like, yeah, but where are the buildings?
Yeah, like,
have you seen the Northern Water Tribe?
They'll have tents and igloos.
Yeah, have you seen the Northern Water Tribe?
Buildings.
They have stories. You have,
and it's the same culture,
right?
It's the arranged marriage thing, but it's the same culture.
And in Korra, she's from the Southern Water Tribe, right? And in Korra, you get to see, like it developed a little bit better, but it's still not that good, man. It's still kind of crappy. I'm like, dude.
It doesn't stack. I don't even think it still stacks up to the Northern Water Tribe.
No, like it hadn't even reached that. But what are they doing down there? I don't know. But
it's maybe they just want to live in a more nomadic, simple lifestyle. Which, if you want to, great. I ain't living there.
Hell no. To the no. Yeah, to the no.
They are definitely living that type of the Inuit type of lifestyle, because that's what they're based off of. But the North is like they're the same type of people, but they've created a civilization out of it, which is what I...
Yeah, and that's kind of the weird thing about it. I just don't know where that disparity comes from.
I don't know. Yeah, and they call the Northern uppity, and when I first saw it, I was like, no, they're not uppity, they got houses. Like, what are you talking about? Of course they're uppity a little bit, but they're
they're uppity, but like they literally are higher up.
Yeah, guess what? Their civilization is much better than yours. Yeah. So, but... For me, Fire Nation, I also think don't discount this. The Fire Nation has a lot of like islands around it too, right? I think that would be cool because you could go for a lot of like vacations there. Like if you're trying to chill, like air temples don't really.
Earth Kingdom does rival the Fire in terms of like technology.
Yeah.
I mean, they have like transportation. They have a whole bunch of they had a whole mail system.
You've got mail.
Yeah. No, yeah, they do.
They definitely have a pretty advanced civilization, but even though I'd rather live in the Fire Nation.
Right. I think it's more controlled, Fire Nation is a little chaotic. Or not Fire Nation, Earth Kingdom is a little chaotic, whereas the Fire Nation is like nice and, it's ironically peaceful is what I said.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. And because they're in power, but even afterwards, I think we get to see is like, they're a little more sophisticated.
She sells seashells by the seashore.
In the Fire Nation compared to all the other places on in the world at the time. That's what I've noted. That's what I got from the show, is that they're very classy. And I think that's the type of people I want to be around. It's like it's not none of this like village. I feel like in the Water Nation and Earth Kingdoms, you kind of get this like villager mentality, like where it's like kind of like gossiping about everyone.
Almost. Huh? In the Earth Kingdom, there's almost like a serfdom type.
Right,
field.
and I'm not really trying to get into like people's business like that. I feel like in the Fire Nation, they're just gonna say hi, bye, but they're not really gonna try and talk about their day.
How was your day?
Yeah.
Sorry.
You live south and you're saying stuff like that. You're in the wrong place, my friend.
Yeah, but it's no offense. It's just I don't have too much time for that. Like if I'm really interested, if it's a certain type of mood that I'm in, I'll say, hey, how are you? How's your day? But other than that, I'm not really trying to hear your day.
I don't really care that much.
Yeah.
Screw you guys! Screw you guys! Screw you guys!
But yeah, I guess. But since we talked about it, to sum up, we'll recap. So we talked about the most powerful bending. We gave our reasons. He gave air. I gave water. Surprising that we didn't go for the more aggressive ones, which are considered stronger.
Right,
They're stronger. I think if you're talking about strength, they're stronger, but ours are more powerful. Right? Mm-hmm. There's a difference between strength and power.
There's a big difference, and you have to understand the difference.
Right. And then we talked about animal companion. You picked your dragon. I picked the flying bison.
Oh, yeah.
And then we both picked to choose to live in the Fire Nation. So you would have been a complete full-blown firebender if you picked firebending for your first one.
Pretty much, yeah. I think so.
That's accurate.
And then I'm much more like I need my calm and peace, because you can tell I picked water, which is like I can bend water and make calm peace. And then I picked my flying bison, who's just gonna be there, my home, my traveling RV. He's basically an RV. And then
please make it stop.
And then I picked the Fire Nation, where people aren't going to be too nosy and ask about my business.
So if we were actually characters in this, I'd be a firebender. I'd just be a straight firebender. You'd probably be the Avatar.
I would be the Avatar. I'm picking the everything.
Use your words.
Okay, we got Zuko over here. We got Aang over here. I'm much more Aang.
Order!
Yeah, I'm much more Aang, where I'm like, I'm Aang.
I'm Aang.
No, you know, that little sniffly thing he did to introduce himself. Yeah. But yeah, okay, so I guess we'll end the episode here, which was a really cool and interesting episode because now that Avatar The Last Airbender is on Netflix, you can go check out the series for yourself.
Yeah, man. For people who haven't watched it, what are you doing with your life? Go watch.
Yeah, what the hell are you doing, you little freak?
So great. It still holds up, honestly.
I think it's the best animated series of all time because
it's just pretty close. I really don't know if I could. I think
nothing that has every element of what you want in a show, but in animated form. You know what I mean? Like it has political commentary. It has cool action sequences. It has beautiful scenery. It has amazing cultural elements. It has comedy, great comedy.
Yeah.
So and it blends it so perfectly.
What rivals it is probably like Justice League, the old cartoon,
one,
pretty good art, contender. But yeah, no, it's probably one of the best. Not even probably, it's one of the best animated series to ever planet.
Damn right.
Yeah,
if you haven't, go watch it. If you watched it as a kid, go watch it again because it's still great.
Just a little anecdote before we take off. I remember the first time I watched Avatar: The Last Airbender. It came out in like 2005, I think.
Yeah.
And I was sitting in my living room, like crisscross applesauce, and my parents got back chalupas from Taco Bell. You know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I unwrapped it, and I back in those days you couldn't record your shows, so you can't go back and I mean you could record it, but you got to burn it on a DVD. It's too much work. Yeah. You either watch it live or you missed it. And I watched it, and I remember the first 2 episodes came out back to back. It was like an hour, right? And I sat down because I saw the promos for it, and I was like, dude, I gotta watch this. And I'm a black belt in Taekwondo, so like already the martial arts culture thing was like, I was into it already. So like when this show was coming out, I was like, oh my god, this is like a dream come true. And I sat down, and I remember the opening sequence, and I was like, it's imprinted, you know.
Yeah.
The way they're been. I remember how it ends as air. She says air, right, Katara, and he does this thing, and it comes, air. And I just remember it blowing in, and I'm just here with my chalupa.
You almost feel the wind.
Yeah, and so there's moments like this where there's moments of movies and cinema and TV series that I think are imprinted with you and kind of make you who you are for the rest of your life. They definitely influence you in the long term that you may have not realized. So that's one of those moments where I'll never forget. And I think if I didn't have that moment, I would have been a very different person.
You'd be a very different person. I'll actually chime in with one as well.
Another one.
It is actually the complete opposite. Watching the final episode, watching the battle of Fire Sky, and I remember where I was. I was in Jamaica actually, visiting.
Cool. Grandparents. Yeah.
In their house that they no longer have anymore. They sold the house a long time ago. One of my most positive memories of that house is running to my my grandparents' bedroom because TV and walk with my little brother, and just the excitement that was. And just the sheer like not knowing what was going to happen, being afraid when like Aang does the bending trick and it's like about to consume.
I remember that too. Dude, that was crazy, man.
When he reawakens the Avatar state and you haven't seen it in so long.
Right, because there was a while there for a few months where he hadn't gone into the Avatar state.
Yep. Ever since Azula had shocked him.
Right, and when I remember that too, man, I was heartbroken. I was like, oh my god.
Oh my god.
Yeah, well, I thought Aang was dead.
I thought he'd gone too.
I was too young at the time, so I was like, you know, I was at the point where I thought they could still continue the show even though the protagonist died.
Me too. I was so young that I was like convinced that the man was. I thought Avatar was dead, and I was like, oh, it's gonna be Katara now. Like I was like, I didn't know what's going on. Yeah, I had no idea, but yeah, it was. There's moments of that show where it's just imprinted forever, and it's so interesting that yours is the ending and mine's the beginning.
Yeah.
And it's just, I remember the ending too. It's just one of the coolest sequences, I think, also.
It blew my mind. That show was one of the shows that I really don't think there's a particular season. You know how everyone like watches a show? Skip season 1. You don't really need to watch. Skip season 2.
This is perfect and
pretty strong throughout.
Right, all 3 books. And I think another thing, just so we'll end it on this note, is that the creators, Brian and Dante, right, both of them, they were talking about how like there was like a long fandom of like, well, shouldn't there be 4 books because. And I had this conversation with a couple of my friends. So shouldn't there be 4 books, 4 elements, and stuff like that? And there's like there was speculation that there's supposed to be a 4th book and stuff, but they said no, definitively. There's only supposed to be 3 books. And I think sometimes you have to end shows when they're meant to end and not try and drag it on just because you're on a ride.
Maybe you should take your own advice.
Right?
Oh yeah, that's. I mean, the whole reason why Avatar is still here today.
Right.
You know? That's a show that ended when I was like, what, 8 or 9 or 10?
Right. We were still very young when it ended.
We were still very young, and we can go back and still enjoy it.
Right.
Because it was such a good show, and they ended it when they needed to.
Right, and I think
that series.
You have to appreciate knowing when the end is there, right? And I think that also speaks highly of the creators because they could have made so much more money, right? They blew money for artistry.
And though technically, you can make the argument that they did make Legend of Korra, so like they did do a sequel type deal, but you then have to realize that Legend of Korra is also a solid show.
Right, solid, really good. Actually, I didn't realize how I feel like Legend of Korra is much more political than Avatar was.
Because it's politics, man, politics.
Oh yeah, no, certainly.
I think they also made it for an older audience because they were making it for that audience that grew up in Avatar, which was kind of cool.
I think they really did. They kind of shifted it to almost like kind of a Harry Potter type deal, where,
right? You grow,
the story matured with it.
People are dying. There's
that was a very, very good move that they did, where they started making it more and more, relevant to the times, relevant to people who had watched the show. Because I think it ended around the time like we were still in high school.
Right.
High school.
It did.
And it ends with you realize that Korra's gay, and that's like,
and at that time
subtle and so I think so done that like it's not in your face.
No, it's not like that. I think that's a lot of times is that, and I get why they do this, is that shows will show just sexuality or race, and they harp on it because there's a lot to be done on it.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes the subtlety is what is needed because it is also just another part of who they are. It's not necessarily who they are.
It's not the part, but it's a part.
Parts plural?
Right, and so subtlety, like how they showed that. I don't know. Even there's just the ending when they just hold hands. It just showed that she was there for Korra, stuff like that. So, yeah, it was just beautifully done. I still think it's one of the most. I personally think it's the best animated series of all time. Obviously, there's so many others that are really good, but like if you're talking about in terms of even the drawing, like everything, the beautiful aesthetic has to be a big part of it too. It's just so beautiful. So that's why we did this episode. So. Please check it out.
Maybe I will. Or maybe I won't.
Rewatch it again. Why not? I mean, I'm probably gonna. I've already started rewatching it, but I
watch another episode. I'm done with this. We're done with this video,
right?
But definitely, if you haven't, give it another chance. If you did, and thank you guys for watching this video.
Mm-hmm.
Please post in the comments. What's your favorite bending is, or most powerful bending is. Where would you want to live, and what what favorite moments of Avatar, man? Right. This is a fantastic series that touched a whole bunch of people in many different ways.
Right.
So,
You're touching me. She's touching me. I'm not touching you.
Right.
Your opinions.
Mm-hmm.
But with that, thank you for watching the Beskar Briefing. I have been Bradley.
I am Vishnu, and this is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.